Jerry and Jankerson Make $1. A story for the Covenant Christian Kids by D.S. Cook for Apostolic.com. In the rolling countryside, there once lived twin brothers, Jerry and Jankerson. They were fond of one another. They played together well, shared their friends, and both were strong and healthy. One day, when they were 8, their mother said, "Boys, I think it would be good if you learned to earn a little. I'll tell you what. If you'll both go and pull all the weeds in my garden, I'll give each of you a crisp new $1. It should take you about 2 hours." The boys groaned. Of course, it was not the first time they'd had chores to do, but like all boys, they loved to play and hated to work. Jankerson mumbled aloud, $1? That's not very much at all. What can I buy with $1? It should be 10. His mother's eyebrows furrowed just a little bit, but she said nothing. Jerry, however, began to think. He thought and he thought so hard that sweat began to appear on his forehead and he made funny faces. "Eureka!" he finally exclaimed. "I did the math and made a discovery." Jankerson looked at him quizzically. "I have discovered that $1 is more than $0, Jerry piped. "I have $0 now, and we'll still have $0 if we play all day. But if I do the job, I will have more than 0. Jerry, it turned out, was quite a bright kid. So, both kids went out into the hot sun and began to pull weeds. They had been working about 5 minutes when Jankerson stood up and sighed. He looked down at how much they had done, a little patch of about 2 square feet of garden. He looked up and around at how much they had left to do, about 60 square feet. "This is going to take forever," he complained in his thoughts. But what he said out loud was, "I need to get a drink of water." He stood up and went inside. Jerry kept weeding. 5 minutes later, Jankerson came back out again and reluctantly started to pull weeds, slower than before. Another 10 minutes passed, and they had weeded another small patch. Jankerson stood up and sighed. "I need to go to the bathroom," he announced, and turned heel again. Jerry kept weeding. This time it was 10 minutes before Jankerson came out again and started to weed slower than before. He looked over at the little patch his brother had cleared, and that's when it struck him. While I was inside, Jerry kept going. He did another small patch all by himself. He began to think as he weeded. He thought so hard that sweat appeared on his forehead and he made funny faces. "Eureka!" he thought silently. "When I stop, Jerry doesn't. That means, I think, that work gets done while I'm not working. If I do this right, Jerry will do most of the work." So every 5 or 10 minutes, Jankerson found some reason to stop. "I need to go to the bathroom again," he'd say. "Whoops, I left my gloves inside," a few minutes later. "I found a bug. Look how cool it is. I think I need a hat." And so it went. Each time Jankerson returned to work, he worked just a bit slower than before, his eyes always on all the work that had yet to be done. The hours passed, and slowly the patch of finished garden grew and grew. Jerry made it more fun by telling a story while he worked about a giant ogre who carried off the princess and rescued the gallant knight. He worked steadily and only went to get a drink and go to the bathroom once, both in the same trip. Finally, they were finished. It had taken them 3.5 hours instead of 2, with one brother only working half the time and half the speed. Jankerson stood up and looked around. That was horrible, he thought. It took forever. I'm hot. I have dirt in my shoes. I hate work. I hope we never have to do that again. Jerry, on the other hand, looked out over the work that they had done and felt something that he wasn't sure he had felt before. He started to think. He thought really hard until sweat appeared on his forehead and he made funny faces. Eureka! He said to himself. I feel proud of myself. I'm proud of the good work I did, and glad to be a real help to Mom, who works almost every hour of every day and who never gets to play. I'm proud that I earned $1 with my own hands, and now it's really mine. I feel just a little bit more like a grown-up, and it feels good. Sure enough, after inspecting the garden, their mother paid each one of them a crisp new $1. Jerry and Jankerson spend $1. Excited, the boys jumped on their bicycles. They pedaled fast as lightning up the country road, laughing and joking. They rode through the meadow. They rode through the woods. They rode through the creek. And finally, they got to the store. Jankerson bought a big, juicy gumball, large enough to fill his whole cheek. It was strawberry orange with swirls of lemon and tasted delicious. Jerry bought a little plastic dinosaur with a tab on its tail. If you pushed down and released the tab, the dinosaur would jump 2 feet in the air. It was very fun. Jankerson enjoyed his gumball, and Jerry enjoyed his dinosaur, and soon the day was over. The next morning, the boys were at the table eating breakfast with their father. He looked up from his newspaper. He took a big slurp of his coffee. Then he reached out and patted both boys on the head. I noticed the garden was weeded yesterday, he said through his bushy mustache. Thanks for your good work. Did you get $1? The boys beamed with pride. We did. Ah, good, said their father. What did you buy? I bought a giant gumball, said Jankerson. It was strawberry orange with lemon swirls, and it filled my whole cheek. Ah, his father nodded wisely. Gumballs are delicious. I bought a plastic dinosaur, said Jerry. It had a tab in the back, and it could jump up 2 feet in the air. Ah, his father stroked his mustache wisely. Dinosaurs are lots of fun. He sipped his coffee once again. Then he said, Jankerson, where is your gumball? Jankerson looked surprised. What do you mean, Dad? It's gone now. I chewed it yesterday. Ah, said his father, nodding wisely. And Jerry, where is your dinosaur? It broke, Jerry said. But it's okay, I was bored anyway. Ah, said their father, stroking his mustache wisely. He slurped his coffee. Boys, he said, where is your $1? They both glanced at each other like he was crazy. What do you mean, Dad? They asked. You know, the $1 you made yesterday. Where is it? It's gone, Dad. We spent it on the gumball and the dinosaur. Ah, their father nodded wisely and stroked his mustache. So you don't have $1? Not anymore, Dad. You have $0? Yes. Ah, said their father. He went back to reading his newspaper, nodding wisely and stroking his mustache. Jankerson chewed his breakfast and followed a fly with his eyes. Jerry began to think. He thought and he thought until sweat appeared on his forehead and he made funny faces. Jerry and Jankerson make another $1. Another day came and Jerry and Jankerson had another job to do. "Boys," said their mother, "I want you to go out and clean up all the sticks and leaves in the yard so that your father can mow. Rake the leaves into piles and put them in bags. Gather the sticks into bundles, and we'll use them to start our campfires. If you do, I will give each of you a crisp new $1. "Okay, Mom," said Jerry. "It should be $10, muttered Jankerson. The boys went to work, and the job played out just like the one before, Jankerson taking lots of breaks and finding many reasons to stop, and Jerry doing far more of the work. Once again, it took up much more of their day than it would have if both boys were working steady. This time, to make it more fun, Jerry told a story about a terrible dragon who devoured the prince and rescued the kingdom. When they were finished, Jankerson thought, "That was terrible. It took forever. It was so boring. I hate work. I hope we never have to do that again." Jerry was strangely happy, and that same feeling came back to him again. He felt pride that he had done a good thing for his mom and dad, who worked so hard all the time and never got to play. He felt a little bit more like a grown-up. He felt pride that he had earned $1 with his own hands, and that it was really his. "I like this feeling," he thought. "It feels good." When they were done, their mother gave each of them a crisp new $1. The boys jumped on their bicycles and pedaled off as fast as lightning. They rode up the country road, through the meadow, through the woods, and through the creek to the store. Jankerson bought a plastic dinosaur because he thought Jerry's had looked like fun. Jerry was just about to buy a giant gumball, but he stopped. He thought really hard until sweat appeared on his forehead and he made funny faces. Then he put his $1 back in his pocket. "What are you going to buy?" asked Jankerson. "Nothing," said Jerry. "Nothing? Are you crazy?" his brother exclaimed. "Yep, nothing," said Jerry. They rode back home. Jankerson enjoyed his dinosaur and Jerry played with his old toys, and soon the day was over. The next morning, the boys were eating breakfast with their father. He looked up from his newspaper and sipped his coffee. Then he reached out and patted both boys on the head. "I noticed the leaves and sticks are all cleaned up, lads," he said. "Thanks for your good work. Did you get $1?" The boys beamed with pride. We did." "Ah, good," said their father. "What did you buy?" "I bought a plastic dinosaur," said Jankerson. "Jerry's looked like so much fun." "Ah," said his father, nodding wisely. "Dinosaurs are very cool." "I didn't buy anything," said Jerry. "Nothing at all?" said his father, pretending to be surprised. "Nope." "Ah," said his father, stroking his mustache wisely. He took a big slurp of his coffee. "Jankerson, where is your $1? Where is your dinosaur?" "It's in the toy chest with my other toys. I got bored of it." "Ah, and where is your $1? "What do you mean? It's gone. I spent it on the dinosaur." "So you don't have $1? "Not anymore." "You have $0? "Yes." "Ah," said their father. I see. He nodded his head and stroked his mustache wisely. "Where is your $1, Jerry?" "It's in a safe place, in a coffee can," said Jerry. "So how many dollars do you have?" "One, Dad. I have $1. "Ah," said their father, nodding wisely. He went back to reading his newspaper. Jerry becomes a man. Half a year passed. The autumn was in swing, and winter coming on. The season of gardening and lawn care was laid to rest, and there was little promise of dollar-a-day jobs for the next many months. Jerry had grown muscular. There were calluses on his hands. He had done many jobs. He had played with his old toys and read books and added 0 cheap, boring toys to his toy chest. And for his efforts, he had amassed the staggering sum of $100. Jankerson looked skinnier and weaker than his twin. His toy chest was full of cheap plastic toys and gumball wrappers with jokes on them. He had $1 from the previous day's leaf raking. On to their bicycles the boys hopped again. They rode through the meadow. They rode through the woods. They rode through the creek. And finally, they got to the store. Jankerson took out his dollar and bought a plastic ninja man with a spring-loaded arm for throwing paper stars. It was awesome for $1. He turned to his brother, pity and exasperation on his face. "You're going to put your dollar back in your pocket again, aren't you?" he said. "Nope," piped Jerry, to his surprise. Jerry took out $50, walked over to the lawn and garden section, and bought the sturdiest snow shovel there ever was. "What on earth are you going to do with that?" said Jankerson. "That's stupid." "You'll see," said Jerry. The next morning at breakfast, their father was reading his newspaper. He took a big slurp of his coffee, then reached out and patted both boys on the head. "I noticed the leaves were raked yesterday. Did you boys get $1? We did. And what did you buy?" Jankerson spoke up. "I bought a ninja guy who can throw paper stars." "Ah," said his father, stroking his mustache wisely. "Ninja guys are awesome. Jankerson, where is your $1? "Come on, Dad, we've been through this. I spent it on the ninja guy." "Ah," said his father wisely. "So you don't have $1? "No, Dad." "You have $0? "Yes." "Ah," said their father. I see. And you, Jerry, do you still have your $100? Jerry grinned so wide his cheeks hurt. "Actually, Dad, I only have $50 now." His father's head snapped up. "You spent $50? Interesting. On what?" Jerry just pointed proudly out the window. In the driveway stood the brand new, heavy-duty snow shovel, gleaming like a knight's sword. Their father raised one bushy eyebrow, understanding and pride creeping into the corners of his mouth. "Ah, a shovel. Interesting choice." That very afternoon, the first snowflakes began to fall. By morning, the whole neighborhood was buried under a thick white blanket. Jerry marched out with his shovel over his shoulder like a soldier going into battle. He knocked on the first neighbor's door. "Need your driveway shoveled, Mrs. Pickleberry? Only $5. Mrs. Pickleberry clapped her hands. "Bless you, child. My back isn't what it used to be." By lunchtime, Jerry had shoveled 4 driveways and made $20. His arms ached, his nose was red, and snow was melting down his neck, but he was grinning like a pumpkin. Jankerson, meanwhile, sat inside playing with his new ninja guy. He threw paper stars at the wall until he got bored, then wandered over to the window. Outside, Jerry was halfway down old Mr. Grumbleton's extra-long driveway, singing a silly song he made up about snow monsters who carried off the princess and rescued her prince fiancé. While he worked, Jankerson watched for a long time. Then he started to think. He thought and he thought, until sweat appeared on his forehead and he made funny faces. "Eureka!" he shouted suddenly. He ran outside in his slippers, slipping and sliding all the way to his brother. "Jerry, Jerry, I just figured it out. While you are out here making money, I am inside doing nothing. That means if I keep doing nothing, you keep making money, and I'll still have zero. That's terrible math." Jerry leaned on his shovel and laughed so hard he almost fell over. "Took you 6 months, huh?" Jankerson looked down at his cold, wet slippers, then at Jerry's shiny new shovel, then at the long line of driveways still waiting to be cleared. He sighed, the biggest sigh in twin brother history. "I wish I hadn't spent all my money. I wish I had a shovel and could be out here making more dollars with you," he said, crestfallen. His brother just grinned. "Why do you think I only spent 50? He said. "Go get another. It's on me." And so the two brothers shoveled side by side all day, one singing about snow monsters, the other grumbling but secretly smiling every time he earned another crisp $5 bill. By the end of that first snowy day, Jerry had 35 new dollars in his coffee can. Jankerson had 15. And for the first time ever, his toy chest stayed closed while he counted his own money with proud, blistered hands. Their father watched them from the window, newspaper forgotten, coffee growing cold. He stroked his bushy mustache one last time and chuckled deeply. "Ah," he said, to no one in particular, "now that is $1 well spent." The end of Jerry and Jankerson Make a Dollar. For more parables, articles, social and moral commentary on current events, Stoic concepts presented from a Christian worldview, please visit apostoic.com. Thanks for listening.